This kiosk is a wonderful addition to the plaza, and we won't stand for this bureaucratic overreach.
Section 3, subsection A.
The morning they blocked the courthouse ramp with a cheap blue kiosk, the air was so cold it burned my nose and all I could smell was fresh asphalt and old coffee. I walked up the stone steps, briefcase in hand, ready for a 9:00 a.m. hearing, and there it was. A plastic sign screaming HOA Welcome Center right on the courthouse steps. A folding table. Brochures. A power cord snaking across the sidewalk like a trap. Our HOA president, Karen in her neon blazer, waved a clipboard at me. "You can't park there," she snapped, pointing at my city truck parked legally at the curb. "Board business only." She had no idea who I was. Or maybe she did. Either way, she had just picked the wrong set of steps. This is the story of how the HOA built a kiosk on the courthouse steps without a permit. Too bad I am the code director. Karen thought she could drag the neighborhood into her personal empire and use county property as her lobby. I told her calmly that the kiosk needed a permit and could not block the ramp. She smirked, eyes sharp. "The county loves this," she said. "We're serving the public. Get used to it." Behind her, two neighbors shifted in the cold wind, clutching coffee cups, eyes down. One mouthed sorry at me when she turned away. The board members stood in a tight little cluster, as if scared to step out of line. I tried to handle it the easy way first. That same night, at 7:15 p.m., I walked into the HOA clubhouse. The room buzzed under humming lights and smelled like burned coffee and dry carpet. I introduced myself as the city's code director and explained the rules. Public courthouse steps. No permit. No accessibility clearance. Karen banged her little gavel on the folding table. "Public comment is closed," she said. "You're out of order." The neighbors stared at their laps. The next week I got 3 bogus violation letters on my own house. Grass too long. Trash can visible. Unsafe mailbox. Timeline item 1 April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call, when she called the police on me for parking on the public street near her house. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I knew that. I also knew better than to swing first. So I drew my line in the sand. No yelling. No petty games. Just the law. I sat at my kitchen table with a cold mug of coffee and my laptop and started building the case. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I zoomed in on the power cord across the sidewalk, the blocked ramp, the donation jar on the kiosk. I pulled the property maps showing the courthouse steps were state land, not HOA common area. At the county clerk's office, I requested every permit ever filed by Karen's HOA. The clerk rolled her eyes when the printer jammed and then said, louder than she needed to, the file landed with 63 pages. I highlighted every time they had been warned before. By the time I was done, my binder was thick and heavy and the tabs were bright as traffic lights. The next move was all about timing. City Council had a regular meeting set for May 3, 2024. On the agenda, item 12, was a sweet little line written by Karen herself, presentation from Oak Ridge HOA about community outreach kiosk. She thought she was coming to brag. I emailed the council chair a quiet memo and attached my report. On May 2 at 3:30 p.m., I filed a formal notice of violation on the kiosk. Civil, clean. Calm. No grand speech. That night, Karen blasted the neighborhood email list. She called me a petty bureaucrat. She said the HOA would sue anyone who messed with their kiosk. My phone buzzed with quiet texts from neighbors. "We're with you. Please be careful." I just replied with one sentence. "See you at council." The council chambers were packed. Cameras everywhere. Neighbors in jackets and hoodies. Someone had even brought popcorn. You could smell butter and floor cleaner. Karen sat in the front row with her board, all matching polo shirts. She grinned at the local news crew. When we reached code enforcement updates, I stepped to the podium and pulled out my binder. The first slide on the screen behind me showed a clear photo of the kiosk blocking the courthouse ramp. The room went quiet. I laid it out in simple words. Unpermitted structure on state courthouse steps. Daily violation fine stacked up for 9 days. At $3,000 per day, that's $27,000 in potential penalties. Then the twist. I clicked to the next slide, a map showing the state property line and a still image from security footage of Karen telling volunteers not to bother with a permit because, her words, the county guy is too slow. The whole room sucked in air at once. The news camera zoomed in on her face as she went pale. Then came the noise. Phones came out. Neighbors started recording, whispering, some laughing under their breath. One guy near the back said pretty loud, "So the rule queen broke all the rules." The clip of her face and that kiosk hit social media before the meeting even ended. By midnight, the video had 84,000 views and comments from all over the city. The council chair leaned into his mic and said the council had zero tolerance for anyone, including HOAs, misusing public property. The city attorney spoke up. The state courthouse administrator had already called. They wanted the structure gone. Now. A police captain in the room, the same one who had been sent out on that fake trespass call, stepped up and reminded everyone that false emergency reports were being reviewed. You could almost hear Karen's board scoot their chairs away from her. The aftermath came fast. Council voted to order immediate removal of the kiosk by 5:00 p.m. that same day, or the city would take it down and bill the HOA. The fines were negotiated down in exchange for full compliance and a written apology to the court, but it still hit the HOA budget hard. At an emergency meeting, without her knowing I was standing in the back, the board voted 4-1 to remove Karen as president. The one vote in her favor was her own. They also passed a rule that any contact with the city had to go through a compliance committee, not one person on a power trip. A month later, the courthouse steps were clear. No cords. No kiosk. Just clean stone, the smell of hot pavement, and people using the ramp without weaving around obstacles. One Saturday, a neighbor from across the street brought over a plate of cookies and laughed, saying the real welcome center was my front porch now. Kids were riding bikes again without Karen creeping down the street taking notes. The police stopped getting weird calls about parked cars. The clerk at the courthouse told me people still asked about the kiosk case, and it made staff feel like someone finally had their back. I never gloated to Karen. I never needed to. Every time she drove past the courthouse and saw those empty steps, she remembered that the rules she tried to weaponize against us had finally snapped back on her, in full daylight, with cameras rolling and every receipt in order. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.